So let's begin, as always, by saying our names will go around like this, and then I'll call off the names of people online. Chris?
Yeah, Al, Constance, Kyle, Beth, Larry,
Jared?
Jessica,
Debbie?
Miriam, Jenny,
Chelsea. Kristen.
hey, Paul.
And Patricia, Meg, Kat, Judith, Carol, Joe, Susan, Ellen, Heather, Patty, Erica, Christine, Ann, Susan White, Amy, Barbara, Laney, Sally, Carol, Sue Ann, Subana, and did I say Susan Spencer? If I didn't, I'm saying it again, just makes people like to see you, everybody. This month, the Sangha is focusing on the theme of death, or in Buddhist terms, you could say birth death, or living and dying. And part of it is people have been asking over time, what are Zen rituals and perspectives about death? And also, I think the timing of it, and Yael's here, who just got back from practice period at Tassajara, and as we all know, Caroline, student there, died during this practice period. And everyone was deeply affected, so it feels kind of a sense of honoring of this birth, death, life, and of this not knowing how precious it all is. So last week, Subana and I entered us with an introduction. This week, two Sangha members today, Chelsea and Jenny, and on Thursday, Patricia and Barbara have very generously offered to enter tender territory about their own loss, process of loss and grief. And we're recording this introduction, but we're not going to record their talks because we really want to. And when we leave and how we be with each other and with them, be deeply respecting that they are sharing their hearts with us. We'll treat it very tenderly. And then next week, Erica and Patty as hospice care workers, isn't the both spent most of their good portion of their lives working in hospice. And I will also then we'll focus on the actual dying process. And I'll offer Zen perspectives and rituals and what I know and what I've been taught over time. And then the fourth week, we'll focus on Dogen's classical birth and death. Oh, when Jenny gives her talk, she'll do it from her chair there, so the people behind her may want to move when that happens. Chelsea will speak first. They each have about 15 minutes, but we have every time. Then hopefully we'll have some time for a small group. It also just feels important to say that, of course, whenever you touch grief, we'll touch all of our grief. So be tender with yourselves. You know, if you go home and you wonder why you're feeling tender instead of thinking what's wrong with you or what's going on here, just take good care of yourselves. There's nobody here who hasn't lost someone or will lose someone, and who doesn't live in a world of loss and grief and joy and sorrow and birth and to be alive. Here we all are. And it's not very often that we get to do this kind of intimate investigation and sharing together. So I wanted to take just a few minutes. There's so many beautiful stories and teachings in Buddhism and in Zen. About death and dying and birth, death. And I just wanted to take a moment and share the story of Padachara, who is one of my, I don't want to say she's one of my most favorite, but she sits really deeply inside of me as one of the original women ancestors. So many, in particular, the stories that are told about the women ancestors is that they came to practice because they lost children. And I've been lucky enough to travel in some Theravadan countries, and in Sri Lanka, there are monasteries and nuns and monks, but there are also village temples. And they're full of life and birth and death and aging and picnics and chanting, and I hold that as a really beautiful model. Thich Nhat Hanh, I think, replicated some of that. But I have such a strong memory of being in a village temple in Sri Lanka, and the teachings were painted on the wall. Because, I mean, everybody has different education levels, but they're painted, and they're painted graphically and with such love. And there was a painting of Padachara's life. I know exactly where it was. I spent a fair amount of time with it. So I just wanted to read you. We'll just take a moment, but I want to do this focus without bringing her forward. India, 6th century, Padachara's presence of mind. There's many versions of this, but this one is from the Hidden Land. In a single day, Padachara experienced the deaths of her whole family. Her husband was bitten by a poisonous snake. Her newborn child was carried off by a hawk. Her older child drowned in a river, and her brother, mother, and father were killed when their house collapsed. Awesome. Mad with grief, she tore off her clothes and wandered naked in circles for a long time, until she stumbled into a place where the Buddha was teaching. The monks wanted to send her away, but the Buddha stopped them and said to her, "Sister, recover your presence of mind." Now, I just want to say, you could meet someone and say, "Get over yourself," or "What's going on with you?" But there was a way that the Buddha met her, said, "Sister, recover your presence of mind." And at his words, she regained her sanity and knew she was naked. A man threw her his cloak and she covered herself, and she told the Buddha of her tragedies and begged him to help her. He said, "I can't help you. For countless lives you have wept for loved ones. Your tears could fill the 4 oceans, but no one can be a secure hiding place from suffering. Knowing this, a wise person walks the path of awakening." His words eased her mind. She ordained and practiced diligently. And one day she saw into the nature of impermanence, and a vision of the Buddha appeared before her. He said, "Padachara, all human beings die. It is better to see the truth of impermanence even for just a moment than to live for 100 years and not know." Padachara awakened and became the greatest of the women teachers in the Buddhist Sangha. These stories are nice and encouraging. They're beautiful. And when our life is touched personally by loss, I feel like I just went off the edge of a cliff there. Nobody knows. So again, I'm deeply grateful for two solemn members. And we'll begin with Chelsea's offering and Jenny's offering, and let's all remember, please, to breathe together and help each other breathe.